What is the most unforgivable thing your family has ever done to you? My boyfriend cheated on me with my best friend. My entire family knew. When I was 18 and in my senior year of high school, I truly believed my life was on a good track. I lived with my parents and 4 siblings and spent most of my days hanging out with my best friend Ashley or my boyfriend, Kyle. Both Ashley and Kyle's parents were best friends with my parents, so I had known both of them since we were in diapers. We spent holidays together, celebrated birthdays, and visited each other all the time since we lived in the same town. My 20-year-old sister was also dating Kyle's brother and all our siblings were very close. Ashley had been my friend for 18 years, and she was truly the person I trusted with everything. Sometimes our parents would joke that we were connected at the hip because we were always together. I had been dating Kyle for the last 3 years, and I believed he was the love of my life. We were quite serious and even talked about getting married after he finished college. Although I had plans to go to university, I was content with the idea of being married to Kyle and being a stay-at-home mom. My parents loved Kyle and supported our relationship. I was genuinely happy. One day, at the beginning of the school year, I noticed that Ashley was feeling very melancholic and detached. After prodding her for a while, she told me she was pregnant. I was surprised because she and her boyfriend had broken up a while ago, and I wasn't aware that she had anyone else in her life like that. I asked her who the father was, but she didn't want to talk about it. She implied in a way that her ex was the father. She was distraught, so I dropped the topic and consoled her. I was there for her when she told her family, and although her parents were disappointed, they promised to support her in whatever decision she made. They tried to make her share the father's name, but she refused and made me promise to keep quiet. I stood by her side for the next 9 months. I went with her to ultrasound appointments and doctor's visits. I supported her when she was bullied in school for being pregnant. I helped her set up the nursery, and threw a baby shower for her. We chose names together, and she even asked me to be with her in the delivery room. I noticed that the pregnancy was taking a toll on her emotionally and physically, so I tried to support her in every possible way. She was my best friend, and I loved her. 2 weeks before her due date, I went to the mall to run some errands and unexpectedly ran into Ashley's ex. Even though I had promised never to contact him, the knowledge of my friend's emotional state sent me into a fit of anger, and I confronted him. I expressed my anger and told him what a terrible person he was for leaving his ex pregnant and alone without caring for his unborn child. He was shocked and said he had no idea what I was talking about. Ashley had never told him about the pregnancy. When I informed him that she was 9 months pregnant at the time, he said it was not possible for him to be the father as they had broken up over a year ago and hadn't been together since then. I was confused but apologized for yelling at him in the middle of the mall. After that, he became snarky, said some nasty things, and suggested that I should ask Ashley's friend Kyle if he was the father. At the time, I didn't really think much about his words. Kyle and Ashley had been friends their entire lives, and although we were always very close due to our parents' relationship, they had never shown any signs of being anything more than friends. That evening, my younger sister and I were preparing to have a movie night. I started ranting to her about confronting Ashley's ex and his words. Usually outspoken, my sister remained quiet and didn't respond. After a while, she excused herself and went to the bathroom. I decided to go downstairs to the kitchen to grab some snacks, and that's when I overheard my younger sister berating my mother. My memory of this part is fuzzy as I was dealing with a lot of emotions. My sister told my mom about running into Ashley's ex and his words, and she no longer wanted to hide from me the fact that Kyle was the father of Ashley's baby. I was absolutely shocked. Stunned, I stumbled into the kitchen and demanded an explanation. Both my mom and sister turned white as sheets upon seeing me, and my sister burst into tears. She explained to me that near the end of the summer break, Kyle and Ashley attended the same house party, got drunk, and slept together. Ashley got pregnant and told Kyle, but they were both ashamed and afraid to tell me. They also kept it from their parents. However, Ashley couldn't bear the secret and confided in her mom and dad, who then told Kyle's parents and later mine as well. This all happened during Ashley's first trimester, and by the second trimester, all our siblings, Kyle's siblings, and Ashley's siblings knew about it. Everyone knew except me. I was physically sick for the next 3 days and couldn't bring myself to talk to anyone. My parents were apologetic but explained that they didn't want to see me hurt or damage the relationships between everyone involved. I didn't speak to Kyle or Ashley, even though they bombarded my phone with messages and calls and even came to my house. I refused to see them. At one point, Kyle's mom came to our house, and my mom allowed her into my room. I was lying in bed, still feeling sick and emotionally drained from the betrayal. While I lay there, Kyle's mom tried to convince me to forgive them and emphasized how much Ashley and the baby needed me. I didn't utter a word. 2 weeks later, Ashley went into labor. My parents informed me that she had a difficult delivery, lost a significant amount of blood, and required an emergency C-section. Apparently, Kyle was present during the birth. I was distraught, inconsolable. It was a culmination of the betrayal by both of them, the fact that I had planned to be there but couldn't, and my anticipation of this moment for months. My older sister immediately went to the hospital to be with her boyfriend. My other siblings weren't at home, so I was left alone with my parents. All I wanted was to lie in bed or cuddle with my mom, crying out all my emotions. Then my mom received a call from Ashley's mom. She came into my room and told me that she and Dad were going to the hospital. I was perplexed and asked her to stay with me. She explained that Ashley's parents needed all the support they could get, and we would discuss everything later. I tried to tell her not to go and that I needed their support too, but she said I was being selfish, and they left. I was left alone in the house, struggling to comprehend everything that had happened in the past few weeks. I couldn't believe that my parents would go and support someone who had hurt me so much while I was here suffering. Was I truly being selfish to think that way? In a fit of anger and feelings of betrayal, I started packing my bags and decided to leave home. However, it didn't take long for second thoughts to creep in, and I just sat in the living room feeling empty. After a while, I received a text from my sister. The text stated that Ashley had given birth to a healthy girl and that they were both okay. She attached a picture of the newborn and told me they had named her Sarah, the name Ashley and I had chosen months ago. She sent a second text later, informing me that my parents and she were going to join Ashley's and Kyle's parents in a bar in town to celebrate. I don't remember much after that. I think I was consumed by everything, and my memory is very foggy. I took a train and left. I lived in Phoenix for a while and everyone tried contacting me, demanding that I come back, but I ignored them. Soon after I met Dean, who supported me emotionally, and introduced me to his friends. We eventually started dating. Dean soon inherited some money from his grandpa and decided to move across the country to a big city, taking me with him. After my 21st birthday, we spontaneously got married. With his support, I attended university and he started a successful company. Despite not being initially in love, Dean has always been there for me. We've been married for 12 years now, and we have a 2-year-old son and a 6-month-old son. Although I sometimes regret leaving my family, I couldn't go back. Last year, at the beginning of the pandemic, I received an email from a 14-year-old girl named Evelyn. She explained that she was my older sister's and Kyle's brother's child. She knew about me and wanted to meet me. Although I was reluctant to speak with her, we did exchange some emails. Let me note that she did not know what transpired 15 years ago, so our conversations were pretty innocent. We talked about her school, interests, and she told me about my family. I learned that Kyle married Ashley 4 years after I left and had 2 sons in addition to Sarah. My parents continued to maintain a friendship with Kyle and Ashley's families, and my family continued their normal life, despite my absence. She tried to talk to me about what happened, but I didn't really think it was my place to explain things to her. So I simply said that relationships change, and life events sometimes lead us on separate paths. We continued to talk every so often for almost a year. In her email this January, she mentioned that my parents were struggling to keep their house, and both my brothers lost their jobs and were having difficulty coping with the costs. I was surprised by her knowledge of this, considering she was only 14, but the hardships were also causing tensions between her parents. I started dealing with a lot of guilty feelings and regrets. I also just had my baby, so that was causing me lots of emotions. I talked to my husband, and he was very supportive, telling me that he would be there for me no matter what I decided. We were financially stable, and the pandemic didn't have a great impact on our finances. We weren't rich, but we were able to live comfortably. After learning some more details and talking with Dean, we decided to help my parents with their house. A week ago, we flew back to my home state. I saw my family for the first time in 15 years. I had so many emotions, regrets, and pains from the past, along with feelings of betrayal. I think my parents were relieved to see me. It was just such a weird day. We had a lengthy conversation and agreed to try and have some sort of cordial relationship. It had been so long, and I was very awkward with them. Sometimes they felt like strangers. Dean and I spent a week there, continuing our conversation, and I truly believed that we were on a path to having a friendly, yet distant, relationship. But then my mom started insisting that I have a sit-down conversation with Kyle and Ashley. She explained that she wants to go back to the way things were. I told her I refused to talk to them. Although I moved on, I simply have no ties with them now and don't want to rehash anything with them. I told her I am prepared to try and establish a relationship with them as they are my family, but I don't want anything to do with Kyle, Ashley, or their family. I never demanded that they cease their relationship with their friends, but I don't want one. Dean supports me. My mom called me selfish and said that I simply must try and heal our relationship. I told her I will not negotiate and that it's up to her to decide whether or not she wants to have a relationship with me. She said okay, but 2 days later, I received a phone call from Kyle's mom, demanding that I talk with Kyle and Ashley. Supposedly my return caused tensions in their relationship and their emotional health. I hung up immediately. I called my mom and confronted her. Apparently, she gave that woman my number to heal our family bonds. I told her that she is choosing them over me again. She cried and yelled at me, calling me selfish and saying that she just wants her family back. I hung up. It's been days since I spoke to any of them, although my mom and Kyle's mom keep calling. Even though I think I am right and I believe I should prioritize my well-being and the well-being of my family, I am starting to have some regrets. Suddenly, I am questioning the entire course of my life. I am so lost, and I don't know what to do. I would really appreciate any advice on what to do in this situation.